Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive with us. This time, we're going to rewind the clock a bit, back to 2021, and take a look at the Xiaomi Mi 11. We've got a great review here from RechargeMyTopup.com, and it looks like this phone was seriously ahead of its time.
Oh yeah, it was a pretty big deal. Even back then, it was considered like a high-performance phone. Premium display. A really advanced camera system for the time.
So you're telling me this phone from 2021 could still compete with some of the specs we're seeing today?
I think it might surprise you. Let's jump in and find out. First things first, that display. We're talking a 6.81-inch AMOLED screen.
Whoa, okay, so that's pretty massive, almost like a mini tablet at that point.
Right, you could practically watch a movie on that thing. And the AMOLED tech meant, like, super vibrant colors, deep blacks. Everything just pops on that screen.
Okay, so we're talking high-quality visuals here. What about the resolution?
Oh, they didn't skimp on that either. 1440 by 3200 pixels. I mean, you can imagine the detail you're getting with that. Yeah, I can only imagine. Would all that resolution, drain the battery life, though?
That's a good question. And yeah, maybe it would be a concern today, but remember, this is 2021, so battery tech has advanced since then. The Mi 11 had a 4520 milliwatt battery. So, not bad for the time. You could probably get through a whole day on a single charge.
That's good to hear, especially with a screen that big. The review also mentioned a 120 hertz refresh rate. I know that makes a difference, but I'm not totally clear on what that means.
So refresh rate is basically how many times per second the screen updates the image. With 120 hertz, everything is just super smooth, whether you're scrolling through your feed, browsing the web, whatever.
Okay, so it's all about that smooth experience. No lag, no choppiness.
Exactly. They really focused on the visuals with this phone.
That's clear, but visuals are only half the story, right? What about performance?
Okay, so under the hood, we've got the Qualcomm Snapdragon 888, which was like top of the line back in 2021. This thing was a powerhouse.
I like it, a powerhouse. But with all that power, did it overheat?
Well, that's where things get interesting. Xiaomi used a 5-nanometer process for the Snapdragon 888. Basically, that means the components were super tiny, so they could pack more power into a smaller space.
Interesting. So smaller components equals less heat.
Exactly. More efficiency, too.
Makes sense. But let's be real for a second. The camera is probably the most important feature for a lot of people. What did the Mi 11 have to offer there?
Oh, well, they went all out. Triple camera system on the back. The main camera was a whopping 108 megapixels.
108 megapixels. Isn't that a little excessive?
Maybe. But it wasn't just about the megapixels. This camera also had a large Samsung HM2 sensor, so it could capture more light, especially in low light conditions.
Oh, okay, I see. So it actually makes a difference in the quality.
It does, especially compared to phones with smaller sensors.
So there's real tech behind those big numbers, not just for show.
Right, and that's just the main camera.
Oh, there's more.
Oh, yeah. You also had a 13 megapixel ultra-wide lens, perfect for those panoramic shots, or, fitting everyone in a group selfie.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. What about the third camera?
That was a 5 megapixel macro lens for all those super detailed close-up shots.
So you've got options for pretty much any kind of photography. That's impressive. But what about selfies?
No worries there. They included a 20 megapixel front-facing camera.
Okay, so they didn't forget about the selfie lovers. That's good. So we've covered the amazing display, powerful processor, and the versatile camera system. Sounds like they really packed a lot into this phone. But how did they handle all that power? We talked about the battery earlier, but what about charging speeds?
Oh, yeah. The Mi 11 had 55W fast charging. You could charge the battery from 0 to full in about 45 minutes.
45 minutes? That's crazy fast.
It was. And they also included 50W wireless charging.
Okay, so you've got options. Fast wired charging. Or wireless charging for convenience.
Exactly. They really thought of everything.
They did. So this phone is sounding pretty impressive. But we've only scratched the surface. There's still so much more to uncover. We'll be right back after a quick break.
To dive even deeper into the Xiaomi Mi 11. Okay, so we're back, and we're ready to dive even deeper into the Xiaomi Mi 11. I want to go back to that display for a second. You mentioned it's AMOLED technology. Can you break that down for me?
Sure. AMOLED stands for Active Matrix Organic Light Emitting Diode. Basically, each pixel is its own tiny light source.
Okay, so how does that make it different from a regular LCD screen?
Well, with an LCD, you have a backlight that illuminates all the pixels at once. But with AMOLED, the pixels can be individually turned on or off.
So that's how you get those super deep blacks that AMOLED is known for.
Exactly. When a pixel is off, it's completely black.
Oh, that makes sense.
And because each pixel emits its own light, you get a much wider range of colors.
Oh.
and higher contrast.
So it's like more vibrant, more lifelike.
Exactly.
The review also mentioned HDR support. What is that?
HDR stands for high dynamic range. It's all about enhancing the contrast and color range of the display.
So it's like making the darks darker and the brights brighter.
In a way, yes. It allows the screen to show more detail in both the highlights and the shadows.
So it's like you're getting closer to what you would actually see with your eyes.
Right. It makes the image look more realistic.
Okay, that makes sense. We've talked a lot about the visuals, but what about the audio? Was the Mi 11 any good for listening to music or watching video?
Oh yeah, the audio is top notch. They had high quality speakers
Kurti.
tuned by Harman Kardon.
Harman Kardon. Those guys know audio.
They do, so you could expect rich, immersive sound, no matter what you were listening to.
Okay, cool. So they didn't skimp on the audio either. Now I want to talk about security. How did the Mi 11 handle keeping your data safe?
Well, they had a few options. There was an in-display fingerprint sensor.
Oh yeah, I remember when those first came out. Pretty futuristic stuff.
Right. And by 2021, the technology had improved a lot. The Mi 11's fingerprint sensor was known for being pretty fast.
Yeah.
And accurate.
So no more fumbling with PIN codes.
Exactly.
What if you don't like fingerprint sensors, though?
Well, they also had face unlock.
Okay, so you could use facial recognition instead.
Yeah. And of course, you could always set up a traditional PIN or pattern lock.
So plenty of options to choose from. Flexibility is always good. Now let's talk about the software for a bit. You mentioned it was running Android 11 with MIUI 12. What exactly is MIUI?
So MIUI is Xiaomi's custom user interface. They layer it on top of Android. It's designed to offer a more personalized experience.
Okay, so it's like taking Android and giving it a makeover.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
What kind of features did MIUI 12 have?
Well, one of the big ones was system-wide dark mode.
Oh, yeah. Dark mode is a game changer.
It was designed to be easy on the eyes, especially in low light.
And what about customization? Could you personalize the look and feel of the phone?
Definitely. You could choose from tons of themes, change the fonts, customize the icons, even tweak the animations.
So if you're someone who likes to tinker, MIUI 12 probably gave you a lot of control. What about privacy? Did MIUI 12 offer any features to protect your data?
Absolutely. One cool feature was the second space.
Second space.
If you want that.
It's basically a separate profile on your phone with its own apps, data, and settings.
So it's like having two phones in one?
Kinda. You could use it to keep your work stuff separate from your personal stuff, or parents could use it to set up a restricted profile for their kids.
Oh, that's clever.
MIUI 12 also gave you granular control over app permissions, so you could choose which apps had access to your location. Camera. Microphone.
So you had a lot of control over your data.
Yeah, they really focused on privacy with MIUI 12.
That's good to hear. Okay, so we've covered the software. What about the overall design of the phone? Did it live up to that premium label?
Like, for sure. The Mi 11 had a really sleek design. Glass back. Metal frame.
Glass backs can be slippery, though.
True, but it did look nice. And they had a few different colors to choose from.
Like what?
Cosmic black, Aurora, and Horizon blue.
Horizon blue. What kind of blue was that? It was like a soft, almost pastel blue with a subtle gradient effect.
That sounds pretty cool. What about durability? Did it have any water resistance?
It had an IP53 rating, so it could handle some dust and water splashes.
So maybe not the best phone for the beach.
Probably not. But for everyday use, it was fine.
Okay, so not totally waterproof, but still pretty durable.
Yeah. Oh, and one more thing I wanted to mention about the design.
What's that?
It still had a headphone jack.
A headphone jack. Really?
Yeah. I know a lot of phones were getting rid of them by then, but Xiaomi kept it.
Interesting. Maybe they knew some people still preferred wired headphones.
Could be.
Speaking of things people prefer, what about storage? How much space did the Mi 11 come with?
They had a few options. 128 GB, 256 GB, or 512 GB.
Wow, okay. So no matter how many photos and videos you took, you probably had enough space.
Yeah, they were pretty generous with the storage options.
What about expandable storage? Could you use a micro SD card?
Unfortunately, no. There was no micro SD card slot.
Okay, so you were stuck with whatever option you chose at purchase. That's something to keep in mind. But overall, it sounds like the Mi 11 was a pretty amazing phone.
It was, especially for its time.
It makes you wonder what phones will be like in another few years.
I know, right? Technology moves so fast.
It really does. Yeah, it's crazy to think what we consider like cutting edge today might be totally outdated in a couple years. What do you think are some of the biggest changes we've seen in smartphones since the Mi 11 came out?
Well, 5G's become pretty much standard now. I mean, the Mi 11 had it.
Yeah.
But it was still early days. Now you can't find a phone without it.
Yeah. 5G has definitely changed the game. What about other areas, like cameras? Have there been any major advancements there?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
We're seeing phones with larger sensors, more advanced lenses. Even AI is being used to enhance images.
It's like having a professional photographer in your pocket. But all this new tech, doesn't it drain the battery faster?
Actually, battery technology has improved a lot too. Batteries charge faster, and they last longer.
So it sounds like smartphones have gotten better in every way. But let's go back to the Mi 11 for a second. How do you think this phone will be remembered?
I think it'll be seen as a turning point for Xiaomi. It showed that they could compete with the big names and offer premium features at a good price.
It was like they were saying, hey, we're here to stay.
Exactly.
So the Mi 11 wasn't just a good phone, it was a statement.
It was.
That's pretty cool. But as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to look ahead a bit. What features do you think will be essential in smartphones 5 years from now?
That's a tough one. But I definitely think we'll see even more powerful processors. Phones that can handle anything you throw at them.
Like what?
I'm talking video editing, 3D rendering, stuff that would make your laptop sweat.
That would be amazing. What about battery life? Will we ever get to a point where we don't have to worry about charging our phones all the time?
Maybe. Battery tech is constantly evolving. We might see batteries that last for days, or maybe some breakthrough in wireless charging.
Okay, that would be a game changer. What about cameras? Are we going to be shooting holographic videos anytime soon?
Maybe. But seriously, I think we'll see some pretty incredible advancements, higher resolution sensors, better lenses, maybe even 3D cameras.
So the future of smartphones is looking pretty bright.
It is.
It's been a fascinating journey, exploring the Xiaomi Mi 11 and seeing how it fits into the evolution of smartphones.
I agree.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Until next time, keep exploring and keep learning.